If you've spent years trying to get rid of your anxiety and it keeps coming back, here's the brutally honest reason why. You've been trying to kill off your anxiety, but when we try to do that, it comes back stronger and more menacing than before, like the Terminator. Just give me 9 minutes and I'll give you 5 powerful tips that, as a writer, accredited coach, and a therapist with hundreds of clients and over 3,000 hours of practice, have helped me and my clients overcome their anxiety. And stick with me to the end for the final insight, the thing that most people never learn, which is the difference between those that stay stuck in anxiety and those that don't. Now, most people think that anxiety is a flaw, something to be got rid of, something to be eliminated. But anxiety is not a malfunction, it's a signal. And when you understand the signal, you can control the response. And when you can control your response, you then start to control your anxiety rather than it start to control you. Before we go any further, let me tell you a personal story. You see, for years I struggled with anxiety. I'd quite often wake up with a tight chest, I'd avoid uncomfortable situations, and I'd replay conversations over and over again in my mind. I thought there was something seriously wrong with me. In particular, I had an absolutely mortal fear of public speaking. You see, a few years ago, I was in a large conference room doing a presentation to a really important client. Things were going pretty well until about halfway through the presentation, my equipment froze. That meant that I froze and I panicked. I had no idea what was going on. To make things worse, my boss came running over and said, "What the hell's going on?" I thought at that point that my career was toast. Despite this mini disaster, my career didn't actually go up in smoke. In fact, I managed to be promoted to a point where avoiding presentations became impossible. So I decided to study anxiety and how it's got this tendency to hold us back. As a result, I discovered many of the things about anxiety that I'd like to share with you now. Now, I didn't eliminate my anxiety. Maybe it's a good thing to be a little bit anxious before you do an important presentation to a major client. But what I did learn is how to control anxiety. And when you learn to control your anxiety, it stops controlling you. So let me share with you those 5 practical ways that have helped me do just that. And that one massive insight at the end that changes everything. So tip number 1 is learn the pattern. Anxiety feels random, but it isn't. It follows a predictable loop. And here's how it works. So first you have the trigger. For example, for me, just the thought of doing a presentation was enough to make my stomach churn. Next comes the pattern match. Your brain is a pattern matching machine. Whenever it has a bad experience, it lays down that experience in your danger file so it can watch out for that ever happening again to you. So when my brain sensed it was in a similar situation, it hits the alarm. Presentations have become a byword for danger for me. Alarm showed up as emotion or bodily sensations. My heart raced, my palms got sweaty, I became hyper self-conscious. Essentially, I was reliving the old disaster even though it wasn't happening anymore. And then come the thoughts. I hate this. I need to escape. I should be avoiding this. And because I kept avoiding the situation, I never got the chance to create new experiences. The old pattern stayed strong and alive in me. Here's the good news. Once you start to map your pattern, you stop being a slave to it and you can start to observe it. Clients say to me all the time, "Steve, when I wrote down my pattern, everything clicked into place." So try this. Think of one situation that triggers your anxiety and then write down the bodily sensations that you feel, the thoughts that you have, and the behaviors that follow as a result. Awareness breaks the loop. Tip number 2 is calm the body, not the mind. You can't think your way out of anxiety because anxiety switches off that part of the brain that thinks rationally and clearly. Trying to think your way out of anxiety is called a top-down approach and often doesn't work because emotions are faster than thought. So the fastest way to stop spiraling is to calm your body first. calming the body first is what's called a bottom-up approach. So try this. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 2 seconds, and then breathe out or exhale for 7 seconds. And keep repeating this over and over again for 2 to 3 minutes. If you do this, it will help calm your body and therefore calm your mind. It's like resetting your nervous system so your brain can become rational, logical once again. I teach this in almost every coaching session I have because it works a lot better than positive thinking or positive affirmations. Tip number 3 is reduce micro threats. You don't need one big massive trauma to feel anxious. Your brain stays alert because of dozens of tiny little stressors, commonly called micro threats. Think sleeping badly, running late, drinking too much caffeine, overwork, not having breaks, and unfinished tasks everywhere. These micro threats convince your brain that the world isn't safe and it keeps your anxiety dialed up. So today, maybe think of one micro threat that you could stop or reduce. Just one. Your brain will read that there's less danger around and that will turn down your anxiety. Number 4 is to learn to build confidence. This is a game changer. People with low confidence tend to feel anxious. Why? Because people with low confidence think about confidence in a flawed way. You see, when people come and see me with low confidence, I hear the same sort of statements all the time. I'll do that presentation when I feel more confident. I'll go on that date when I feel more confident. I'll start to socialize when I feel more confident. Can you see the pattern here? I'll do X when I feel more confident. The problem is your brain wants to feel safe. So you have to teach it or train it that any particular situation is safe before it feels less anxious. And only then does confidence come along for the ride. Confidence is not about being louder and more outgoing. It's about training your brain. I can handle whatever comes my way. Instead of saying, I'll do that presentation when I feel more confident, how about whatever happens, I can deal with it and I'm going to give it a go. You'll be amazed what you can achieve. Tip number 5 is the 1% rule for long-term change. You see, you don't overcome anxiety with one big massive change. You overcome it with consistent 1% improvements. 1% better sleep, 1% better breathing, 1% better boundaries, 1% less overthinking. These improvements, they kind of all stack up over time. And after a few months, anxious people often say to me, Steve, looking back, I can't believe how far I've come. Consistency beats intensity every time. And here's that final bonus tip, the tip I teased you with earlier, the bit that changes everything. And that tip is your anxiety is never actually going to disappear because having anxiety is actually part of having a healthy brain. But what you can do is learn to stop that anxiety having so much power over you. The goal isn't to do nothing. The goal is to learn to control it. And when you understand your anxiety, work with it, and train your nervous system, you become calmer, more confident, and stronger than those people that have spent their life wrestling, struggling, and fighting it. Today, you learned the foundations of how to master your anxiety, the skills that most people don't take the time to learn. Well, this is just the beginning of our journey. If you're looking to go deeper and really truly take control back of your life, watch the next video. I'll guide you the rest of the way.